channel, everyone. Today we are just going to continue with part 2 of our sort of color along. This is from Johanna Basford's Magical Jungle, and I am using the Indra Creative Part 1. You can also find on my channel. So this is the Indra Creative watercolor pencils in case you are popping in now. Okay, so yesterday I got all of this done. Now I want to just keep tackling away. So I think I'm gonna try these bright greens for some of those leaves. All right, again, there's no names or numbers, so kind of just winging it. Let me sharpen these. Okay, got my tea as well. I was steeping some tummy tea because I've been suffering like a really bad stomach ache as of late, so hopefully this will help. So I'm gonna zoom you guys in so you can see. Okay, and let's start with those leaves. These colors may be a little close to this one. We haven't used these ones yet though. This yellowish green color. You might hear the snow plow. We had a storm last night, so okay. And let's do some of those circles. Might have made my tea too strong. Okay, and let's do these leaves here. What I'm gonna call leaves, I guess. I think I'll just do what I did near the end yesterday. Put all the pencil down and activate. Okay, let's grab our yellowish color. Leaving a little bit of white at the tips. These ones are very scratchy. I'm actually using very light pressure. I'm holding it back really far and it's still scratchy. Okay. Let's put those back. Let's see, for these ones here, I'm gonna add some of these turquoise colors. What's interesting is these are quite a bit. Let me zoom you back out for a sec. As I had mentioned in the first video, one thing I am struggling with is the colors that are very close to one another, like these and these. It's almost like the sets, the trays repeat themselves in a way. All right, let's grab this light teal. I don't think I've used that one yet, so this one here. Have I used the teal next to it? I have. I kind of want to add nice teal to these, I think. Let's see. The other side of my dark green is like, let's try this color. Okay, so I'll sharpen these as well. Okay, sorry, let me zoom you guys back in. I forgot I zoomed out. All right, actually, let's make these ones the tealish color. I just drag this color out into the white space, kind of create its own natural gradient. Let's try that. Okay. Then I'm going to use a lighter teal color on this one here. And then same thing, I'm just going to pull the color out. Okay. We'll add it to a couple of these little circles. Maybe that one there. Let's add a darker teal to this big one. This one's sharpened with a weird point, so I'm trying to not snap it. Okay. All right. Get that flower there with a purple pink combo. Now I'm going to need to find a green. Okay. I don't know if I'm just more aware of it today or what, but these seem more scratchy. Again, I'm not sure if it's just because I'm more aware of it or what. But yeah, they definitely seem scratchier. Maybe it's because I'm not talking as much today. My voice was drowning out the scratchiness yesterday. And those in there. I'm gonna make these a little darker because they're smaller. Hope everyone's doing well today. Like I said, we had a snowstorm last night, so it's cold and snowy, but it'll probably melt here pretty quick. We didn't get a ton of snow, not as much as we normally get. I don't know if anyone else who lives in normally snowy areas has experienced a lot less snow, but we definitely have this year. January usually has a lot more out here, so I found it interesting. But who knows, maybe February will bring more. That's usually our coldest and snowiest. Okay, let's try this light green color again. Yeah, what's funny is every year, I swear, every year they say, this is going to be a really harsh winter every year. Like we're due for the big one. And when we had that first snowstorm hit out here, I think I shared like a quick reel of it on like a Instagram story, but it was a pretty gnarly, like we had a full out blizzard going on. And I thought, man, check that out. We really are finally having the bad season. And yeah, since then, that snow took a long time to melt because a lot of it was put down, but once it finally melted, we just got like piddly little storms since then, and instead it's just really cold. In the last week it was like 30s, but 30s, by the way, isn't cold. I meant that as it's been warmer. But yeah, the last couple weeks it's been a little warmer in the 30s, but before that it was just freezing. Oh, like the high of the day was 15. So, whew, let's see that one. I just gotta put these pencils back where I got them. So let me grab that dark green again. Looks like we don't have any dark green in here. Just kind of debating on my colors. Let's see. What color for those? Maybe a blue, because we've got blue here. So let me pick out some blues real quick. Okay, I just grabbed kind of a dark blue and light blue. I am glad I'm doing this, coloring them with them on camera, just so you guys can see. Anytime I review a product like pencils or books or markers, I like to use them a few times. Sometimes it just takes using them once, but regardless, I go beyond just swatching. I usually get like a good first impression swatching, but that doesn't always give me an accurate picture of how it's gonna work on like certain paper, you know. For example, like I used these on watercolor paper when I swatched them, but here I am using them on this Johanna Basford very smooth cardstock. I didn't like how these reacted on the watercolor paper, but that's just because they didn't really dissolve. They left lines, whereas on this paper they're dissolving. so that's good, but they're very scratchy, and it's not necessarily unusual for a watercolor pencil, but I just don't like the scratchy sound. That's why I have a hard time using my pastel pencils. All the scratchies, it's like chalkboard sounds. Ugh, those get me. Okay, I think we'll let's just put this dark blue inside and the light blue outside. Okay. And at this point, I'm just gonna, oh wait, we have the fish up here. I'm just gonna grab some very random oranges and yellows. They may not even work. I just don't feel like constantly pulling out my chart. I'd like to try out these oranges and see how they work. Alright, so there's two fish. I'm gonna color them exactly the same, so I might just do one on camera and then pause it. That way it shortens how long this video is. I'm just gonna drag the color in these little spaces, I think. Except maybe this little fin. Okay. I guess they're so small and tiny, I can just do both on camera. Both of the dogs have been playing in the snow. Of course, I just washed the floors yesterday. Really need to check the weather report before washing my floors. But yeah, I had just washed my floors and then it snowed, but they've been playing in the snow all morning. All right, I'm gonna put, I don't want to put orange in there. I'll pick a different color for that. Let's use, actually I should use one of my dark blues in there. So let's use this one. Okay. All right, now we need to get these little vines. I'm just gonna pull one of the greens we've already used. Making an effort to use every pencil in this set, but I don't necessarily have to do it all on the same picture. Okay. Get that in there. I don't even know what these things are called. I'm debating on the background if I'll use the pencils. Oops, I don't know why I colored that all the way. I'm gonna drag it a little bit. Whether I'll use the pencils or panned watercolors, or I don't know. Alright, the frog is gonna have to be some sort of teal color because he's sitting on these green. Yeah, actually the frog could be purple. This is Johanna Basford. I don't have to go for realism. Let's try this dark purple. So I'll probably want to activate the frog first just because he's kind of in the way. Let's see, I'll make his top purple. Probably go back in with some gel pen or something to make it easier on myself. Okay, let's grab a light pink. I haven't used that one, but the tip of it looks pretty light pink. I'm not even bothering with the chart right now. Okay, I'm gonna leave that center and use some sparkly stuff. Let's activate what we've got here. So again, if you weren't here for yesterday, I've got a few different water brushes, but I think, let's see, I can probably use the Tombow in some of these bigger ones. Just gotta re-wet them. Then I have my Pentel water brush for the really small spots. So these colors are very alike, so they're almost gonna wash each other out. Get that leaf here. Could probably do the fish with the Tombow. So basically just activating that orange here and just dragging it out a little. So it kind of creates its own little gradient. The yellow I'm just going to drag as well. You won't see it as well though. Okay, and then yellow activates first before I get into the orange. That orange isn't activating very well. Okay. Right, let's see. So, looks like the next thing we gotta activate are these little leaves. Remember, I'm dragging those out. I'm gonna move my rag. I like to keep my rag nearby. You don't have to, of course. I usually like it like literally under my hand so that I can just activate, reach over and wipe it off kind of thing, but to each their own. It is a handy method if you're using ink tents though, because you really gotta wipe your brush off while activating those and be kind of quick about it, because when they dry, they're dry. So that's right. I have that habit already. Okay, I think I'm just gonna activate this one as well because I don't want to put my rag on top of it. Try to stay in the center. I've noticed when you squeeze this one, like I said yesterday, this little plastic thing makes it hard for me to tell if there's water coming out, so I got to get used to it. So I'm going to activate the light blue and then go into the darker blue. It's not really a dark blue though. It's kind of like a denim color. All right, so activate that and then pull it into the darker. So I'm activating it, pulling it into the white, and then pulling it back. Oops, I missed that little one that should be purple, but it's now blue. I'm going to grab these ones down here so my hand isn't dragging over them. Help if I stayed on frame though. So I'm just kind of wiggling around. I don't really know what these are. Little doodads. Johanna doodads. Okay. I think that one needs to be... I'm gonna get this flower down here so that when I activate the other stuff above it, I'm not rubbing up against it. Looks like this green I didn't get all the way activated there. Okay, so I'm pulling the pink into the purple, but you'll see how quickly that purple washes out, and this brush is not very wet. It's quite dry. It's actually drier than I would like it to be. I don't even know if that was on frame. Sorry. I'll show you up here what I mean. Yeah, I'm actually using this brush drier than I would normally do it because these wash out so quickly. Because I would actually, let's get my Pentel for this one. I'm a little bit too sloppy. Whenever I wet one, I test it against my hand. That's one of the best ways to see how wet it is. But yeah, because these, when you activate them, if you put too much water, they wash out so quickly. I kind of have to keep my brush a lot drier than I would prefer. So it's not going to let me drag as much. And I can't like wiggle my colors as much as I want. But yeah, they just, some watercolor pencils, I mean, all watercolor pencils are obviously a muted color. It's not going to be, you should never compare them to like ink tints, you know, where they're just, they are kind of drab when they're dry and just explode when wet, because those are ink. So all watercolor mute out a little, but I noticed these just wash out. Like, I mean, see how that color just washes out? Some do it more than others with this brand, but again, this is a budget brand, and you got to keep that in mind. The pigment, there's not a lot of pigment. It's not quality pigment. You know, obviously there's more filler with any budget, and you're gonna have kind of lackluster colors. That said, I have seen some budget ones that wow me. Some student grade ones as well. It really just depends on the, oops, I guess we're gonna go over that. The manufacturer, but these definitely act like a budget watercolor, but that's not necessarily bad. These are relatively affordable, so okay, we gotta activate these. I'll break out the Tombow. I believe the bigger set is 40, maybe 30. 30 sounds better. If it's 40, that's awfully steep. Now that I think of it. So yeah, maybe they're more in the 30s. Okay. All right, let's do our little frog down here. Okay. That's why I often don't compare budget brands to like artist grade. Just don't think it's a fair comparison. That's why sometimes I really hate that word dupe. The word dupe gets used a lot when comparing pencils. Like, is this a dupe of this? And I'm like, well, no. My thing is just because there's the same colors, and you know, say you got two brands of pencils, and they're both wax based, you know, and they've got similar colors, that doesn't really mean they're dupes, because you take any brand of pencils, you could probably find close enough colors, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things where you kind of have to think like, what's making it a dupe? Now, is it the formula? Does it feel exactly like that other brand? Then if so, sure, let's call it a dupe. But if it just has, you know, say they're both wax based and have similar colors, you know, that not necessarily a dupe. Now, there are those ones, those budget ones on Amazon that are legitimate dupes. They're made by the same company, but under different brand names, but they have the same formula, the same barrel, same printing. I mean, they literally are the same across the board. So those ones are without a doubt dupes, but yeah, it just depends on the situation. All right, so this I'm going to activate the light green first and then pull it down into the darker green. Although this dark green isn't super pigmented, And when I was pulling it before, it didn't seem to really affect it. Oh, there it goes. Just need a little more water on that one. So yeah, I'll stick to pulling downward. Let's see, these aren't, this green doesn't want to dissolve. And like I said, I am having my brush drier than I normally would, but that's just because these colors wash out so quickly. But it still needs a good amount of water to dissolve. Okay. And it just loses its punch when it gets wet. Like, I love the soft muted colors of watercolor, but they still have color, you know, the pigment is there, it's beautiful. These just kind of are falling flat for me. All right. That's why I'm testing all these pencils. Kind of see what you get for your bucks, for one, because I definitely want to compare budget to budget. You know, like, how much are you paying per pencil and what are you getting for it? Because obviously not all of us can afford Albrecht Dürer and Super Color and definitely Museum Aquarelles. Whew. I cringed when I bought those. But the justification I had was, you don't whittle down watercolor pencils. I'm trying to get this to dissolve. Watercolor pencils as quickly as you do normal ones, so it was easier to swallow that price tag just because I knew these would be around. All right, let's see. So this green doesn't dissolve very well. The dark green, the light green dissolves great. And it kind of leaves a funky finish on the paper. I almost wonder if I could just, because it's so light, just pull it dark to light instead of light to dark. Let's try it on this one here. Yeah, see, the color doesn't even drag very far of that green. So I'm able to activate it first and just pull it out. And I did wet my brush a tiny bit more because I was noticing the dry. But even with it a little bit more wet, it's still... Now it could be this paper. Yeah, I gotta keep that in mind because some of these colors dissolved okay. So gotta keep that in mind as well. Could just be that green, a finicky color. Okay, so I'm gonna use my Pentel one in these little vines. I don't know if they're vines or what the heck these little bulbs are. Oops. Like a tiny little thing, and I still can't even stand the lines. See, this green seems to, this is a different dark green than that one, even though they look really close. Like I said, there's a lot of colors that look close in this set. Okay. I think, let's zoom you guys back out. I think we have everything activated. So background wise, on the other side I used Distress ink. So I think I will use Distress ink here. And we've got all these pretty pinks and purples and blues and greens. And I really want them to stand out. That Twisted Citron would be a really nice color in there. Just want to, would it clash with that? Excuse me, my nose is... I'm going to do a couple colors. So we're going to grab Squeezed Lemonade, Twisted Citron, and should I add a blue? I'm trying to see. I'm trying to get my hands on Blueprint Sketch, but I can't. If anyone has seen that one, let me know in the comments below. Let's try those two for now. So let me grab those. Okay, so I grabbed those. My Twisted Citron is in a small one. I really like the bigger ones just because it's easier to fill your brush than the little ones, but the little ones are cheaper, but not that much cheaper. And when you consider the price difference, and you know, that's how tiny they are, probably help if I showed you more of the ink pad than the plastic, huh? Because they actually make a difference there. You got a lot more plastic on this one, so just FYI there. But yeah, see, it's still not much. Okay. Hopefully my brushes are clean. But let's start with the yellow, which is the Squeezed Lemonade. And for anything that's in between the petals and stuff, I've got my smaller little brush tool. I kind of want to just get the color down. In some spots, if I have it light enough, I really don't care if I go over the pencil work. I don't really care if I go over this green up here. It's not gonna impact the color very much. I'm trying to remember what colors I used on the other side. It wasn't Twisted Citron or Squeezed Lemonade, but I did use like a yellow-green combo. Okay, grab my small brush and just get some of these spots in here. Apparently it doesn't matter because I still got it all over the place, but whatever. The smaller one is actually really hard to maneuver because the bristles, but I don't want to use the spongy tool because that distributes more ink than the brushes. And the spongy one, I just mean that wooden dowel that has the sponges on both ends. Okay, let's grab our Twisted Citron. Mix a little of that in there now. I started with the yellow because I knew it would be on my brush. Yeah, actually it doesn't look too bad if I accidentally hit some of these. Just adds a little glow of color. Okay, let's grab our bigger brush. Oops. Sorry, adjusting the setting on my camera. So this is what I mean, the brush is bigger than the pad. So I'm like, am I getting ink on there? It's hard. Half the time you'll accidentally rub it onto your finger, so you'll ink yourself. Just kind of going, I'm not covering the whole page, I'm just kind of going in a little cloud, poof cloud around the whole thing. A glow almost, I guess. Okay. Get up here as well. And, oops. Just a little down there. Okay. Just put the lids back on those. Now I think for these bubbles, since I went with greens instead of blues, and the reason I did that is because all these blues would have washed out. I think for these little dots, oops, as I get that in my hand, I'm gonna grab some paint pens and sparkle accents, and then we'll finish this up. Okay, just doing really simple finishes, but I've decided to use my Stickles because I never use them. So I grabbed Seafoam and the Stickles, and then I grabbed a white gel pen, and the white gel pen is actually for the froggy down here. If your gel pen won't work, just use your hand. That's why some videos you'll see a bunch of white on my hands. It's just me activating gel pens. Or when I'm coloring with gel pens, you'll see them, a rainbow of colors all over my hands. Alright, this Arteza one is not covering very well. Might have to go back with a white paint pen later. Alright, let's do our Stickles. So I'm just going to show you one, or couple, because it's really all the same here. Good rule of thumb though, if you're using Stickles, work opposite of your hand direction, because these will get, so I'm just gonna put it over the dot and then squeeze enough to get over the black lines. Now, oops, I have not colored the page on the other, or the back end of this, so it is going to leave some bumpies, but you can just put extra paper when I do color it. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to do all the little dots like that. So I will be back after I do that. Okay, so I added the Stickles, basically anywhere there was bubbles, added the center there, a few there. They're still wet, but little sparkly gems. I'll be honest, I really don't like how these Indras performed on this paper. They're super scratchy, so I wasn't super happy with that. So I might try them in another book that's not as smooth of a cardstock as Johanna's books. I'm trying to think of one that would be less, but yeah, I may even see how these activate on a palette, and just take them off the palette and put them on the paper and see if they work better that way, because overall the colors just are very washed out. They were almost more vibrant on my swatch chart than here, but they didn't activate fully on the watercolor paper. So it's a conundrum. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me while we played around with the Indra. I keep wanting to call them Indra macaroons, but that's because I have those. It's the Indra Creative Watercolors. Thank you, Evelyn, for donating these towards the watercolor battles. And also a special thank you to anyone who has donated watercolor pencils for the watercolor battles. It's very sweet of you guys. And I feel bad because these were donated and I'm like, I don't know if I like these. But that's just part of the battles, I'm not gonna love everything that I try. But that's no big deal. I'm doing this so that everyone can kind of see what I think though. So keep this in mind. These are my opinions on these pencils and my style and all that. But yeah, that is it for today, and I will see you all next time. Let me actually do one quick little there so it's straight for you. All right, everyone have a great rest of their day, and until next time, take care. Bye now.